Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hotline League episode 89. This is a show that we've had planned for quite some time. It was not impromptu, and Mark definitely knew it was happening on Wednesday this week, and it was not a surprise to him. Mark, you're getting even darker, by the way. Now
I don't know what's happening. It just
Mark was struggling with his webcam controls beforehand, and we decided to start the show anyway, and now he's just fading slowly into.
I'm just fucking
this is
purple.
his plan. He didn't think that the show was going to happen. Now we've taken him by surprise, so he's just going to eventually the screen will just go black and he'll be gone. This is what I'm realizing. Either way, the show, of course, brought to you by Alienware. Let's see if I can do the logo switch quickly, and Movement. We're going to be talking about both of them later on in the show, and I know that this will actually probably be a shorter Hotline League than most because, honestly, not much has happened. We're mostly going to be previewing the Gauntlet stuff. The PapaSmithy thing got announced. Have you been around, Mark?
Yeah, because I did the dive earlier today, like I said.
Okay. Did it come out today?
Yes. The dive comes out the day that it is done. As a quick turnaround, unlike some shows.
Well, we stream this one live, so and hit me up whenever the dive is live. Either way. Did
you see I fixed my webcam, dude?
Yes, I did. I'm excited for it.
You proud of me?
Sure. All right, so we have this past week. So this is a little more low-key show because I'm just coming back from PAX. Mark did not
wanting to be here.
You want to be here. You just didn't know you were going to be here. That's the difference.
Most of the time I say that ironically.
Yeah. No, it's still ironic. You want to be here, Mark. You're excited to be on the show.
I like how you agreed for a second. Yep. Wait, no.
Because I realized that people are going to think that you normally say that and it's like, haha. And I'm worried that given that we had the context. Mark, how you been for this past week? What have you been doing?
You can't see it, but that's The Bachelor in Paradise behind me, okay? I'm supposed to be watching that right now.
Oh. Okay. I'm sorry. To be taking away from The Bachelor.
In Paradise.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. I was in Palm Springs this weekend for Labor Day. It was pretty relaxing. No, it wasn't that bad. I felt like there were not as many options as I would have thought, but then as I was booking, I forgot that I was booking on Labor Day.
Yeah, exactly. Because you booked kind of late, right?
Yeah, I booked in middle of last week, so 5 days out.
Yeah.
So either way, it was a lot of fun. I sat at a pool and lounged around a bunch and ate food. So pretty much ideal day.
Yeah. That was our thing a couple of months ago, and now you've made it your thing.
Well, I've done it once since it's been your thing. I don't know if that makes it my thing yet.
Nice try. I'll get you next time. Okay, so things I was at PAX doing the Alienware TFT Throwdown all weekend long, which was quite fun. Did that with St. Vicious. And actually went on a 4-game win streak where I was beating everybody, and then I felt like I was really good. And then today I came back and got demoted to Plat 3. So it didn't really work out for me long term, but I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. We had met a lot of cool people, had fans lined up around the booth the entire time, and I don't know, it was really good. And PAX was great. I realized, Mark, did you go to PAX back were you around? Oh yeah, because Curse were you with Curse whenever they competed there?
I've done with most PAXs for the last 3 or 4 years.
Wait, you've done most PAXs?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I've done, I think, 3 of the last 4, not including this year.
Why? There was no league there.
Yeah, but there are other things.
Because this was the first time I was at PAX West in 5 years. So since league used to be at PAX West, which I think at the time was called PAX Prime.
I met Pat Rothfuss there in 2016.
Yeah, I don't think I want to meet Pat Rothfuss.
It wasn't terrible.
Okay. Anyway, but I'd love to meet Brandon Sanderson. Even though I like King Killer Chronicles, Pat Rothfuss is frustrating to me. Anyway, so let's talk about what happened this past week, or what we're going to talk about on the show. So we've got PapaSmithy becoming 100T LOL General Manager. You talked about that earlier on the dive, I'm sure.
Nope, it was breaking right as we were shooting, so we didn't actually get a chance to talk about it.
Nice. Okay, well then we can talk about it here. Already we're better than the dive. And then
I'm level 20 on my Warlock on WoW.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that.
Oh,
we don't normally talk about LEC stuff, but I do think it's really interesting that G2 got the entire all-pro team thing going. So that was kind of funny. And then obviously we have Gauntlet this coming week, so I'm excited to talk about that. So still maybe a shorter show than most, but stuff to talk about for sure. And I was on break this past week. Am I forgetting anything, Mark? I mean, anything else you guys talked about in the dive that maybe I'm not thinking of at the moment?
I mean, it was mostly just Gauntlet talk as well as what teams have qualified from other regions as well. So we did talk about LEC and LCK and LPL, which there's no way I'm talking about that stuff with you. So
gotcha.
we're good.
Yeah. We don't do that here. This is a North American show. We might talk about LEC, usually in a funny way.
Usually in a derogatory way.
Yeah, especially when Medic is in the chat. Okay, so I know this TF Blade thing happened, but
I haven't followed it at all.
I haven't followed it at all either, and I don't really care. Should we care?
I don't. So that's why I hesitated to say I don't know and I don't care, because it sounds like it could be something semi-serious.
So he's trolled for weeks in a row, escalates into win trading and holding games hostage, snaps, and gets banned instantly.
Wait, he was doing all of that, or all that stuff was happening to him?
I don't know. Oh, it looks like it was happening to him, and then he snapped about it.
Okay.
All right, well, we don't know enough to talk about it, but at some point in time, we will talk about it if we find out enough about it. All right, anyway, should we get into calls?
Let's just be honest, we're not talking about it. Let's get into calls.
Should we get into calls? Mark, you want to explain how the show works?
Yeah, so if you guys have never seen the show, the way this one works is it's a call-in show, so you can go ahead and join the Discord, which I'm super spamming in Twitch chat right now. Go ahead, join up in the Pleb Calls voice channel when you get there. You can mute yourself once you're there. In the Pleb Topics text channel, go ahead and put it in whatever you want to talk about, who you think's getting out of the Gauntlet, any take about PapaSmithy or whatever. Go ahead and drop that in there. If I like it, I'll pull you into the waiting room. We'll hang out till it's your turn. I'll give you a quick audio check to make sure things are working, and then we'll be on the show.
Yeah. And if this is your first time calling into the show, just so you know, or even if it's not, if you're a sub, you get access to the subtopics chat where you can put your topic in. It moves a little slower, and especially on a night like tonight where we don't tend to do them on Wednesday, so people don't know. A pretty good chance of getting on, especially if you are a sub, because we do pull from there. But it's important. We've only had one person, for instance, stick something on the subtopics chat. You got to sync it with Discord and your Twitch account to make sure you can get in there. But good chance of making it in as long as your topic is decent. Also, of note, it is September. I'm going to try not to push that too hard, but right now subs are 50% off on Twitch, and I still get the full drop in the bucket. So if you do that, it would be super appreciated. Anyway, Mark is pulling our first callers right now. Oh, Just Casual with the 1 year. Thank you, Just Casual. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing well. Papa is Yasuo's new life coach, says Nice Tail. I like the idea of that.
Yeah.
There's a thread on right now on the subreddit. I'm curious. I haven't checked it out yet. But somebody says TFT is losing steam fast. But I mean, that's to kind of be expected, right?
Yeah, I would be down to talk about that. It's kind of hard to tell because the metrics that they're mostly using are, Twitch metrics, which is the thing that happens with literally every fucking game that gets released and sees an influx of streamers not native to that game's genre.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I can't believe the 5 to 10K people Josh OG always pulls didn't stick around for TFT. I thought for sure he was going to stay there forever, and now that his viewers are gone, I'm kind of no. So it's kind of weird, but at the same time, I also don't disagree with the sentiment. Just in terms of how I hear people I know and around me and online talking about it. So I don't know. It's all anecdotal.
I'm still really enjoying it. It seemed really popular at PAX, but I mean, I'm not surprised. I just don't. I disagree with the sentiment that Teamfight Tactics is dying, if that's what people are trying to say. But obviously, like, the hype is passing out. I think it'll just sort of plateau out, and then you'll have enough people playing it to justify its existence, but maybe nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
124 says, any updates on the LPL stuff, Travis? We should have a RNG arena tour coming out tomorrow in celebration of the RNG competing in finals, LPL finals, which are happening this Friday. So check that out. Do we have callers?
Yep.
Okay. Mark's going to go grab some people. I want to give a shout out to some folks who have subbed. Go ahead and pull that up here in just a second. Again, it is September. Thank you, everyone, for coming in with the subs. I really appreciate it. Don't have as many subs as I did around Worlds last year, so hopefully...
Well, you're not as good as you were. You gotta get in your Worlds form.
Yeah, it's the Worlds form, but I think it's also just the Worlds hype. Like, at one point in time, I had like 4 times as many subs as I do now, just because everybody's tuned into all the Worlds hype stuff. Either way,
yep.
Thadman is here. Thadman, where are you calling from?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. How's Phoenix? I assume it's like boiling hot out there this week because it started to get hot in LA finally.
Yeah, we sit around like 110 degrees right now.
110 degrees.
Hey, that's what Palm Springs was this weekend. I feel you, dude.
Wait, was it?
Yeah, on Saturday it was over 110.
Yeah. Is there, what would you like to talk about on the show tonight, Thadman?
Well, I believe that Clutch Gaming has a really limited champ pool right now between them getting pretty much Rumble's the only champion that they're really, I think, successful on in top lane, and Kiana in the middle. So I think if you ban those out, they kind of struggle. But I do think that they are the best seed or best team to go in as a 3rd seed in the world.
You would... Okay, so you think that they are a little one-dimensional in mid and top lane, but you still think they're our best chance from it as far as a team going into Worlds is?
Correct, because I think that you give them time between now and Worlds. I think they can come up with a few more different picks to kind of get them through groups.
Do you think they're going to make it through the Gauntlet, or are you just saying you wish they did?
I wish they did, but I don't think they'll be able to do it in the time that they've had, since.
If they are not strong enough to get through the Gauntlet, why would they be our best option for Worlds?
Just because I think that like Hooney just, over his career, I think has been able to kind of step it up in those situations and kind of throw out those picks that most top laners don't expect.
I mean, this is one that's hard for me because stylistically, I agree with you in terms of like, I think that they play more proactively in the first 15 minutes of the game from a fighting perspective versus like an objective control one, which CLG is still pretty active in. And I like that in a group stage versus teams that are better than them. But I do feel that if they can't beat CLG and TSM and FlyQuest, of course, then I'm not quite sure I want them representing us, because if they can't beat those teams in a best of 5, it does feel like it's pointless anyways. The idea that they could run this gauntlet from the bottom, make it to Worlds while being this exciting team, I think is what excites me about the idea of them hopefully being our 3rd seed, because I'm dreaming that this is going to happen. But if they're not able to actually pull that off, while in theory I agree about the style, I don't want to send them, because I would be concerned about their capabilities of beating a good wildcard team in a best of 5 then. Whereas if CLG is able to make it through this gauntlet, win 2 best of 5s, and then go to the Worlds, I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't really like your chances in group stage, but you'll probably get through the playing stage pretty healthily.
Yeah, I like what you said there, Mark, about sort of seeing them make it through the gauntlet, because I do think that Clutch is a team that, people didn't even think was going to make it to playoffs, and then they were in the 3rd, 4th place match, and they barely didn't make it to... I mean, I don't know. It was an interesting enough series. And so the idea that they could just like keep getting better and better and better, and then like as if they've just slowly been solving all these problems. And so if they make it through the gauntlet, what does that mean about their potential for what form they could be in at Worlds?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I still think that, seeing them push TL to a 5 game, best of 5, and also pushing CLG there kind of shows you that they kind of have the ability to, kind of throw teams off a little bit. And that's, I think, why they seem so good at Worlds.
Who do you think will stop them from making it out of the gauntlet?
CLG. I think they'd beat TSM if they made it that far, 100%. TSM just doesn't look on form right now.
A lot of people in the Riot office are also in that kind of assumption that the real finals is being played Saturday, with the assumption being that the TSM match will probably go to whoever wins Saturday.
I don't know, Mark. Do we have a caller in the queue about to talk about TSM, or should we just talk about here?
We got a TSM guy lined up.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about it.
Either
way,
I still think to go back to Thabman's point about Clutch not making it out, I do actually kind of favor Clutch to get out, even though it is very hard. It's a very grueling schedule. The nice thing is that they should pick up a best of 5 win to get some extra momentum heading into Saturday's match by beating up on FlyQuest, which is hopefully not difficult. Hopefully they build some swagger off that, and then they go into that series. And then I think I'm on the same page as well. If Clutch can get past CLG, they'll beat TSM. But I think in a way, it felt like Clutch had more to learn from that series than CLG did. CLG also learned a lot by being like, okay, let's not try and play Kiana or Diana into their Kiana and stuff like that. Let's just play Oriana, like everyone said we should have been doing this entire goddamn time. But I think there are a lot more things. That's like just not overthinking. Like, yeah, CLG, you shouldn't have overthought it. For Clutch, the Karma pick was, I think, supposed to be their third pick of really obvious top laners between GP, I'm blanking, Rumble, and then Karma being the third, but it didn't work out, so they'll have time to adjust and hopefully come up with another power pick. Because when you have such clear power picks, if you can just add one more to the stack, it's like, the straw that breaks the camel's back, where suddenly it's too hard to really draft against them and ban them all out. I think that's what they were trying to do with Karma, but it just never won. And now hopefully they can go back and reassess it and be like, okay, we should ditch the Karma, except in certain situations. So I'm hopeful that this means Clutch has a lot more things that they can be learning here, and they can take that for the series, because I do think that they can match up skill-wise just fine.
Yeah, I think it's one of those funny things where, like, I always think about this because from the org perspective, like, let's say, because I kind of agree with you, I somehow still favor Clutch a little bit over CLG, just like a little bit of a gut instinct, right? And I think the fact that CG keeps getting better and better, but like, it's so funny because I know that somebody from CLG would be like, what the hell? We literally beat them.
Yeah, I know.
Just a week ago. And people are still saying that we're going to fail, or like a thread on the CLG subreddits. I always kind of think about it from that perspective too, where it's just like, it is kind of crazy.
How can they not believe us?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they've proven they can beat Clutch just a week ago, and yet my impulse is still that Clutch can, I don't know, maybe it's their name, clutch it out at the end of this. So it's kind of a funny situation, but I kind of want to say it's like 55-45 Clutch.
Yeah, it's definitely close. It's very debatable either way, but I do kind of lean towards Clutch, I think, just because it was already so close, and I think that, like I said, they have more things that they have an easier list of things to improve on, I think, than CLG.
But I know we're going to get to the TSM caller in a second, so I'll just say really quickly, like, I know that we're talking about all this stuff, and all this is just being discussed, and then it's going to end up in a highlight reel on the TSM subreddit whenever TSM makes it through, like they always seem to do.
Fucking do it, TSM fans. You won't.
Yeah.
If TSM makes it through, I mean, damn.
Well, either way, I don't want to jump ahead to that, but I do think it's a funny thing. Thadman, do you have anything you want to say as we move on to the next caller?
No, I think that's it. Right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, have a good one. Okay, moving along to the next caller. Chicken Picker, Girlish Menace, Technoweeb, Dabbing Dad 69, Gilno, Sarker, Smoke Dog, Evangelo, Insulin Shots, I Love You Chat, Hayim, Arrow, Tempest for 1 year. We got Sasons here. Sasons, where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Palm Beach, Florida.
Palm Beach, Florida. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So I think TSM is going to win the Gauntlet, go to Worlds, but Bjergsen's still going to leave.
I love how the Bjergsen's going to leave me. We can't escape this conversation. Every episode we have a
it's a different setup, but then it ends with, and then Bjergsen leaves TSM.
Yeah, exactly. Next week it's going to be like, all right, TSM made it through. I think that they're going to go forward. They're going to get through groups, and they're going to surprise everyone by winning the World Championships, and that will be Bjergsen retiring at the end of it. No, Sasons. So, Sasons, first off, let's just start with the Gauntlet. Why do you think that they're going to get through Gauntlet?
So I think CLG has Clutch figured out, and they're going to beat Clutch, but then I think TSM is going to beat.
TSM over CLG? Because didn't CLG win? Did they win both matches against TSM this split, Mark?
I would need to check. I don't actually remember. I know they won one.
Yeah, I know they won at least the one. I don't know if they won both, but they might have won the most recent one.
I'm checking.
Either way, why do you think?
Calm down.
Why do you think they're going to take it, Sasons, over CLG?
I think they've had a lot of time to prep. I think that's going to play a big factor. They also have a lot of viewing material between third place match and the match that's going to take place on.
A lot of viewing material. Okay. So then, why TSM?
Why TSM over CLG?
Yeah.
Didn't you just answer that?
Oh, I meant to ask why CLG over Clutch, but I see what you're saying.
Okay.
You're saying TSM over CLG because they've had a long time to get better and they've got the ability to research and figure it out. And they watched maybe the CLG CG game last week.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think CLG over Clutch because I think they got the number based off the best of 5 in the third place match.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's hard to debate the CLG over Clutch. Like we were saying, it's 50-50. It's another 5-game series. It's really close. So, could easily be true. TSM over CLG, though, feels hard for me to kind of rally behind. We talked about it on the dive. A bunch of us were, tapping people at different teams with scrim information, being like, how is TSM looking since it's been so long since we've seen them. The insight I got from a couple different people was they're okay in scrims. Their laning phase seems like people are playing pretty well, but that's what scrims are kind of geared towards. And I don't think people were concerned that TSM's laning phase was just complete garbage. That wasn't really the concern around the team. So I don't know how optimistic to really be about TSM. They do have a lot of prep time, which I think would help them a lot if they were actually going up against Clutch. Because Clutch, like we said, relied on a lot of those picks. TSM were the first people to kind of get slammed by them in playoffs. And so maybe that series is a lot closer. If they have all this prep time, they'd be like, this is what they're good at. And so I definitely buy that argument about Clutch. But for CLG, they have much wider champion pools. And they're a team that wins less with specific champion picks and matchups and more about objective control, grinding you out, playing the map better, picking the right fights and skirmishes, moving around the map and taking turrets and stuff like that, which feels more stable. And it's not something where you're like, aha, they picked Caitlyn and they pushed turrets. I am now prepared for this. They do that with every champ if they can. I feel like it's less of a champ-specific strategy for winning.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, for me, I'm split on this because it does feel like TSM just kind of fell apart at the end of the split, and we talked about that on last week's episode. It was last week that we had Amazing on, right?
Yep, I think so.
Either way, so we talked about that, but I think it's hard to say with TSM always because it does feel like if we were having this conversation last year, TSM always made worlds, right? And they always figured out a way to make it work. And I still feel like the organization has that within them. You still have some really strong players there in different roles. Obviously, they're not as top tier as they have been in the past. So it's hard for me because I could totally see a world where suddenly they just show up on the Gauntlet day and everyone has voted them out and they just crush it,
Oy.
I mean, especially because the last time we saw them was when they first brought in the new jungler, and that was a whole disaster. But it's been several weeks since then, so who knows what sort of form and what problems they've been able to solve since.
Yeah, and I mean, oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, that's another thing. They had an entire month to synergize with Spica a lot. I think that's also going to play in a factor.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be better than what we saw previously. The problem was the loss that they suffered to Clutch Gaming in that best of 5, wasn't close. It wasn't like, ooh, TSM were right there with them, and then it slipped away or something. You can make the point I was making against Clutch about how maybe it was a bad read on what you needed to ban versus Clutch, and they were not fast enough to react to that stuff, which is why I said maybe versus Clutch that's true, but versus CLG I don't see it. But in terms of improving as a team, I'm concerned about exactly how much they can improve in a month in this weird situation, because it's not like they played some random preseason games or tournament that don't matter and they're still figuring it out. It's like this is a month to figure it out. After your team has gone through a lot of turnover, been struggling, your morale is probably not very high. It does feel like a more stressed situation to look for a quick improvement in a month compared to, I don't know, just at the start of a split randomly or like I said, some preseason stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to see. I still would not expect them to get through the Gauntlet, even though, I mean, what is funny is they are just one best of 5 away from Worlds, right? Which is, they are the closest, technically speaking, of any of the North American teams right now to Worlds. Everybody else has to get through these other, at least 2 best of 5s, and Clutch's case 3. And so it is kind of like, okay, just win 3 games. That's all you guys need to do, and you're at Worlds. So there's a good, good story going there for those players, but I don't know. We're gonna have to see what happens. Okay, but you don't think they're gonna make it to? Wait, did you say they make it to Worlds, but then Bjergsen leaves anyway?
Yes.
Okay. Well, before we dive into that, Travis, what do you think the reaction is of them making it? We have all this storyline and stuff everyone's been talking about between CLG and Clutch, probably being the 3rd team, yada yada yada. Everyone's super down on TSM. What do you think the reaction is when, like, boom, they still make it?
TSM CLG fans. Okay, so there's still a small group of CLG fans. They're on the CLG subreddit. They're beaten down. They're depressed. They can't. They struggle. And this year, they finally started to get that hope, right? And they're starting to believe. And they've always had to go head to head with the TSM fans, and TSM fans who are notoriously obnoxious will just come out and destroy the CLG fans. Like the TSM fans who've been quiet.
Yeah.
Because I think that's like the TSM fans generally, because they're the fans that are just the type of fan that will just go to whatever team's been winning the most. And so, like, I think that's why TSM had all those fans over those years. Like they've been quiet, right? Because they don't know how to behave in a situation where their team doesn't make it to Worlds. And so I think, if TSM makes it to Worlds, they just suddenly come out in force. Like, they've got all this pent-up energy from the past year, and they just, like, tar and feather the CLG fans and drive them down the streets of Reddit in a wagon to be embarrassed in front of everyone.
So I kind of agree with that take, but I think the problem will be the entire rest of the community will be on CLG side. I don't think people are suddenly going to become excited about TSM's prospects.
Oh, like maybe they become like the 100T.
Right, that's what I think might happen.
Oh, that's a really good point. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, because I think TSM fans will do exactly what you said about, like, oh, they always doubted us. No one ever believed. Fucking poser, loser. Like that kind of approach. Yeah. But I think the other fans will be like, shut up. You guys sucked. You still suck. You just got lucky, and now you're going to go to Worlds, and you're probably not going to make it through playing stage.
Yeah, but
I need different voices for fans.
I think the difference is going to be that 100 Thieves won last year because they skid by on points, but this year, if TSM were to make it through the Gauntlet, then they would have earned their spot at Worlds, regardless of their...
Well, but except for the fact that they... Okay, yes, kind of, but also people will still complain that they only had to win 1 best of 5 because of the point system from spring.
Better than not winning any best of 5.
Definitely true.
True, yes.
I still just don't think a single best of 5 is enough to convince most fans right now that they are our 3rd best team and would best represent us at Worlds. It might not turn as much into a they don't deserve to go discussion as it was with 100 Thieves for some people, but I think it will equally be a I wish it wasn't them.
Right. Okay, so wait, and we'll wrap up your take, which was they go to Worlds, but then Bjergsen still leaves. Why?
So, I don't think they make it out of groups. And I think that's going to be a big factor into...
Do they make it through play-ins?
I think they do make it through play-ins, though.
I mean, I would think so. I would hope so.
Okay, I would hope so. If not, the subreddit is just gonna blow up and they're done.
So but in your world, they don't make it out of groups. And what, just the crushing defeat is what sends Bjergsen out of TSM?
No, I actually think it's because TSM will have to go in a rebuild process next, and there's not a lot of free agency. And his contract's up this year, so I don't know. Papa Steve, he's got a lot of money over there.
You think he joins TL?
I do. If he goes anywhere, I think he only goes to TL in NA.
I think he goes to 100T before he goes to TL, because I don't think TL will switch out Jensen.
Yeah, I feel like TL is probably too happy with Jensen's performance. He's been good this year. You know, I can say in quotes better than Bjergsen. You know, he's had a much better team, so he hasn't been under the same stress. So it's kind of hard to compare 1-to-1. But I'm not like, man, if TL just had Bjergsen, they'd be so much better. I think they'd largely still be the same team.
Not to mention, I get the feeling that so Peter always has a lot of roster control on the teams that he's on until he doesn't have it anymore, right? Or like whatever Aphromu boots him, or I suspect that Bjergsen, I don't think Doublelift would have been removed from TSM unless Bjergsen was okay with it. I don't know. This is speculation, by the way. This is not Travis Gafford in the know, knowing a bunch of stuff about. It's not like this is the Aphromu thing where I was like,
Beauty, lies, scandal,
Soren kicked Peter, right? But like
the expose of Travis Gafford.
If you're Peter, you probably think in your mind like, okay, I might have still been on TSM if Bjergsen had put up a big fight. So maybe you blame Reggie a lot for it, but maybe part of you blames Bjergsen. And now you're on TL, and you still have like a lot of, or you have a lot of weight. And Steve comes to you and says, "Hey, we're thinking about Bjergsen over Jensen. What do you think?" And you just had this, maybe like you let's say they make it to quarters. That it's the first time. Like, I'm not even gonna be ambitious here. They don't. And it's not like they make it to semis. Let's just say they make it out of quarters. It's the first time Peter's ever made it out of groups at Worlds, and TSM doesn't. And Jensen seemingly outperformed Bjergsen for a lot of the year, and you've got this little thing in the back of your mind that's like, maybe I wasn't on TSM anymore because of Bjergsen. You say at that point in time, yeah, let's remove Jensen for Bjergsen? I don't know.
Well, I mean, even beyond the TL point, whatever. Do you think Bjergsen leaves TSM?
Fuck. I think it would have to be a very convincing offer and a line for him to leave TSM.
Yeah, I think if they make Worlds, this Bjergsen leaving TSM theory is kaput.
The problem is we're only thinking about it from one direction. So okay, I've been back and forth on this. So I've heard rumors that like either Bjergsen has equity or is possibly going to get equity, and that would potentially keep him on TSM, right? But I have also I think the contract database still says his contract is up. And if you're Reggie, I feel like you are trying to get him to sign before free agency. So why hasn't he signed yet? And two, I don't know. I'm very curious what 100T does next year. Because I think the only place he goes is 100T, right? Like, I don't think Cloud9's going to... I don't think Bjergsen and Cloud9 is like a... I mean, crazier things have happened, right? Like, Peter ended up on TSM after being on CLG. But I just don't see it. I think Niski's done pretty good this split. And I don't think Jack makes those types of moves, right? He's more about growing talent than about acquiring, like, the super big name. So... And I can't imagine Bjergsen going to any other team. So what if you're PapaSmithy and you go to Bjergsen and you say, like, hey, I'm
PapaSmithy.
I'm PapaSmithy, and we're gonna let you do a bunch of the stuff you want to do with this roster. Like, what would it take? Maybe you do it.
Maybe.
Doesn't seem like a bad proposition.
I mean, do you think between the three of us? Okay, I know you said TL, our friend.
All right, you convinced.
But
He'll
do you
go
think,
to 100.
Yeah, okay, so you think 100. Do you think can we think of any other team that we think he could go to?
I mean, I don't know what the situation is with CLG, but it feels like they've had I feel like I've heard rumors that they would have a hard time financially being able to go to bat with other teams. So while that's maybe the only other org that jumps out in terms of prestigiousness, they do feel like they're lacking the finances. Because I do think Bjergsen cares about, as much as he does talk about wanting to win and all that stuff, I can't imagine that that's the only, like, you know, I think he wouldn't want to join a team like FlyQuest, which has like no clout or anything that's going to help his career beyond maybe they're another team that he can hard carry somewhere. You know,
this
like,
guy grew up on TSM, the biggest brand in North America. It's hard to imagine him going to like itty bitty brand.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
So the only thing we
Europe's
can think
always
of is
an option,
100T.
but
100T because we don't think CLG will cough up the money for it.
Other than Europe, yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah, he could do Europe. That's true. But we've talked about it in the past, and you don't think that any of the European teams would want, or any of the major European teams would want him.
Yeah, none of the ones that have a shot of winning the title, and then that kind of defeats the point of Bjergsen wanting to join them to win, because it's just the same story now, but in Europe instead of North America.
Right.
But that's we've talked about that theory enough.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that's it for the call. Yeah. Say something. Anything you want to say as we move on to the next caller?
No, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for coming on. It was a fun take. All right. So we're going to take a quick break right now to talk about our sponsor. One of the two that we have on the show tonight. There's an Alienware box behind me. That's here because today I received my new M15 notebook, replacing the previous M15 that I received. They spoil me. Got a new laptop from them less than a year ago, and already we got this baby.
An embarrassment of riches.
Yes, exactly. Actually, I was just with them in PAX this past weekend, and I got to see in person their new Aurora gaming desktop, the new monitors that they've recently announced. They basically refreshed almost everything that they make within the past couple of months, and it was pretty cool to see. The bigger thing, though, is that right now, and this is why if you're thinking about getting something soon, or maybe you just want to look at, like, they've got crazy deals right now because of Intel Gamer Days, which is like a promotion that Intel runs with its partners during this time of the year. And there's also the Labor Day stuff that's happening on their site. And you can stack that with my discount code, which is alienware.com/Travis. You go there and you put Travis 10 off in the checkout, you get another 10% off. So there's some crazy stuff where you can get like 9700 i7 with a 2070. Actually, even bigger than that. You can get something with a 2080 for super, like, it's just everything's priced down so much right now on their website. In fact, I've been seeing a bunch of like news websites, gaming websites pop up with these articles that are just like, now's the time to buy something, and Alienware's got crazy good deals right now. So look, all I'm saying is, even if you don't go to alienware.com/Travis, which would be super helpful for me, you know, just going over there, checking out some of their stuff, and using Travis 10 off if you do that, go look at some of the articles that people are running about the deals right now on the Alienware website. Because with Intel Gamer Days and all that stuff, it's just an amazing time to buy a gaming desktop. You know, I think a lot of people like to build, and I get that. You know, I built for many years, but honestly, some of the stuff that you can get, I know it's not Travis 10 off, but at least one of their some of their computers, by the way, right now they've got a promo code above it that says save an extra 17% off with IGD 17, which is the Intel Gamer Days code. So you get 17% off stuff that's already discounted a ton, and some of their other stuff, they're running a Visa gift card where you get like a $200 Visa prepaid card. So just the whole point is, like, this stuff is bonkers. I think, you know, run the numbers. If you are somebody that likes to build your own thing, maybe I'll be surprised and you can build something out for this. But I think because Intel does this kind of promo thing with their partners, it makes it really competitive with custom builds. So I just go check it out, see what's going on. Maybe you're listening to the podcast after some of the stuff has ended, but I know that other deals are going to be going on for a long time. So anyway, go check it out. Travis 10 off. Also keep an eye out for the Intel Gamer Days code. would love you to see this stuff. And again, thank you so much to Alienware for making so much of what I do possible. Anyway, we'll move on to the next caller.
Alrighty then.
To grab them. Couple quick shout outs to, where are we? We already said Aero Tempest, Mama's Cupcakes, Tomax of Dagger Spine for 4 months, Airy Waddle 19, Sold Out Napkin, Just Casual for a whole year, Yu-Gi-Oh! No, Boomcan 90, Purple Ray Q, and Kylo Zen. We've got our next caller in Space Pope 20K. Welcome to the show. Where are you calling from, Space Pope?
Hey, Travis. I'm calling from Flint, Michigan. How's it going, bud?
I know where you're calling from. I just wanted to ask again. How was finals for you?
It was really good. You actually were super busy, and I didn't want to be like the annoying fan to bother you, so I just let you be. You could.
You should have said hi, because I would have known that it was you. And I think, can we refresh how you ended up there at the show? Because I think, I'm not trying to pat the show on the back here, but I think it is really cool, the story that ended up bringing you to LCS finals a week and a half ago.
Yeah. So I have called into the show a few times, and I live in like the Michigan area. Finals came to Detroit. That's pretty wild. I didn't expect that, especially after we just had, what was it, St. Louis, or like a different Midwest event, and pretty much all of my friends got tickets and were able to go, and I just couldn't stretch the money to do it. And I was nervous about it selling out and just cost and everything like that. And I came onto the show, and one of your viewers messaged the chat saying that he was willing to sponsor my ticket to go with my friends. And we were able to touch base, and he's cleared me shouting him out for this by his Twitch handle. So it's SACDMB, SACDMB.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I was able to go to finals. I try not to be just in general with things like a starstruck fan. So you see Amazing or Yasuo or you guys walking around and stuff, and I just kind of want people to do their own thing, But finals was pretty rad. I was only a few sections away from all my friends, and I never thought I'd be able to see something like that. Being a fan of League for 10 years now, pretty much, in my hometown. So that's fucking cool.
That's so cool, dude. I'm really happy that happened, and I think it's really cool that somebody from the show ended up hooking you up. I think what's really rewarding for me, and I don't want to speak for Mark, but I think one of the things that we really wanted to do with the show is have a show that was a little different from some of the others out there and had maybe a bit more of a community feel. And so the fact that, a call-in show where people get to have their voices heard, we had somebody from the show actually reach out to a caller and hook them up, just a member of a community working with another person. So I think that's really cool. So anyway, congratulations on that. What did you want to talk about on the show, though?
So I wanted to talk about the PapaSmithy and 100 Thieves move. I could come in here and just, talk about Bjergsen and TSM, but I feel like we've already covered that, and it's good to give other people a chance to kind of share their feelings on that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, so what did you want to talk about with the PapaSmithy thing specifically? Yeah, so
it's a two-pronged take. So I think this is a really great move for PapaSmithy. The LCK viewership from Western audiences specifically is down. Not to say LCK is not being viewed; it is very popular. But me as a fan, right, with the LPL and the LCK being at weird times, it's hard to catch the matches live. Sometimes you only catch certain VODs, blah blah, the teams you like. So for him and his brand, for PapaSmithy himself, going to something like 100 Thieves is big. That's a shocking move, so it's going to draw a lot of attention. It's going to draw a lot of buzz. And if he wants to get into out of casting and more into the professional side on that end, right? Being a GM of a team, that's a crazy start, right? You're not putting in your dues from the ground up. You're just going straight into the GM role. But for 100 Thieves, this is a big question mark thing to me. I don't know if this even helps their org.
Wow. Okay. This is exciting to hear. Just this take, because I thought you were this is big for PapaSmithy and it's great for 100T, but you're saying you're not sure if this is going to make sense.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to shit on PapaSmithy or anything. I think he's a great personality. I've even watched his VOD reviews and stuff like that as he's done more analytical things. stuff that he can't share on the desk and everything. Like, he has a good mind about the game. I'm not discrediting that. But the GM role within specifically a League of Legends esports team is not a glamorous role, right? Like, what Artress does for TL is, like, I don't know if, like, maybe PapaSmithy knows what he's signing up for, or, like, what 100 Thieves wants from somebody in this position, because I know before probably had, like, a huge say over roster, and I'm not, again, you're comparing, like, apples and oranges almost. Like, does a caster or a former pro player and coach know more about what the roster should have? So it's just weird to me, like, on the 100 Thieves side. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just am confused and don't know.
So, okay, I guess, can you elaborate on what you mean? Because you've mentioned that you don't think that the role is good, a good one to be in, but why is that?
I just don't think it's a glamorous role. That's what I said. It's not that it's an undervalued or an underappreciated role, but, like, the work that Parth does, or, like, Artress does, or, like, the GMs for these teams, I think are just different than what, like, an analyst will bring you or what a head coach will bring you. And I don't know, because I'm not in 100 Thieves and I'm not PapaSmithy, so it's not at that table, and they talked about that. I don't know what kind of the expectations from either side really are from one another,
right?
And, like, what they're going to be able to accomplish with this.
Mark, I don't know if you.
I'm kind of in the same boat, to be honest. From the PapaSmithy side, I agree. Like, you're joining one of the most popular brands in North America right now, with a lot of upside to continue to grow, and it feels like they're making mostly the right moves, even if when they make a step backwards, like what happened last year at Worlds, let's say, they were still one of the most popular orgs, I believe. They were, like, 4th on that list of team earnings through others. The things, the purchases.
Their merch and their apparel and everything is incredible. Nobody can deny that. So yeah.
Right. So that all seems to be true. And for 100 Thieves, on a public facing level, it's also a really good pickup. PapaSmithy is probably the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st most beloved caster in the league scene, and you just get to get that guy on your payroll. It gets a lot of attention to you, a lot of goodwill. So, like, from a PR angle, I see how it works really well for both of them. On a logistical day-to-day operations level, I'm with you, dude. Like, I wasn't at the table either. I don't know what the agreement was, but what's the plan here? Like, is he just doing, like, is he more biz dev oriented, or is he more hands-on oriented? Because GM role is not actually that well defined in the league scene right now, quite like it is in pro scenes, where, like, GM puts the roster together and does a lot of that stuff, but it seems like also very front officey. Whereas GMs in the league often feel like super hands-on with the team, not just helping with roster decisions, but, like, actually running the team in room, which is not true. Not true of traditional sports. So that's where I stand. I'm like, I don't know what the deal was. PapaSmithy's background prior to being a league analyst was a behavioral psychologist at a school or something, or something like that, I believe. I don't want to misrepresent it. So it was something along those lines, which is not, synonymous with biz dev or anything along those lines. We're not at a point where there's necessarily tons of biz dev people qualified enough in league to be able to be like, that was a better choice. So it's hard to really criticize the move in any way, but just, like, yeah, I'm definitely with Space Pope, where I'm just like, I don't know. It kind of just makes me go, it sounds really cool in theory.
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited because Papa's in NA now. Woohoo! 100 Thieves Papa. Woo! What did we just do, actually? I'm totally with you.
Yeah, I share a lot of the skepticism. By the way, just as a reference, in the ESPN article, which is, I think, the only thing where they've really talked about it, about him coming over, it's mostly focuses on his time in Korea, but he does say, or it does say in here, that he can use his skills, knowledge, and relationships he created through the last 5 years of casting, but also his psychology background could be utilized in the new role. So the psychology thing makes me think that he is thinking more about things from, like, a roster and team perspective than, like, BizDev,
I mean,
for instance.
Yeah, but that seems. I mean,
that seems more coaching.
That seems like coaching or manager, not really GM.
Right.
But maybe that's just once again the fact that the title of GM is kind of misused in esports.
Right. But okay, so first let me say this. I'm happy he is there because before then they had announced that, I don't know how many people in the league scene know this, but there's this guy named Malk, Jacob Toft Anderson, who got hired as the VP of esports for 100 Thieves, and he's been around the league scene kind of for a while. The last time he was in the league scene, so he worked at Optic. He was SVP of operations for Infinite Esports, which was the company that owned Optic and Houston Outlaws. By the way, that whole thing just burned up in a giant fire. And then he was involved with Shulk, and I believe it was Shulk that was the one that got relegated while he was casting at TI, because he's mostly like a Dota person. And I just lost so much respect for this individual when the team that he was involved in got relegated from a league while he was casting for another game. It's just like, what are you even doing? So anyway, so he got announced as joining 100 Thieves on June 14th, I believe. And whenever he got announced, I was just like, ugh, how did this person end up at 100 Thieves? Because people shit on or think that I shit on 100 Thieves all the time. And there was some comment recently where it was like, Travis can't say anything good about 100 Thieves. I actually respect 100, and I've said this a million times before, but I'll say it again. I respect 100 Thieves a ton. I think they have some of the smartest minds in the industry over there. And John Robinson, who a lot of people don't know, runs. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry.
You were saying you like him?
Yeah.
Super, super smart guy. I think one of the best assets that the league has. So that's why I was really surprised when this other guy got picked up and got announced as like VP of esports he was going to be involved on the competitive side essentially. And I'm like, this guy is not the person. So I'm really happy that now PapaSmithy is there and is handling the competitive side of the league, because it means this guy won't hopefully be too involved. And that's going to be really good for 100 Thieves. The concern I have, so a couple things. I disagree with you guys that it's actually just 100% a good thing for PapaSmithy. I think there's a ton of upside there, but also my concern for him would be, what if next year things aren't better for 100 Thieves? And now this person who right now has a ton of credibility is like a really smart, analytical person who understands a ton about League, is builds a roster or is involved in something that just falls apart, right? I feel like that could be a credibility hit.
I know what you're saying, but for how long people kick around the league scene while sucking, I have no doubt that PapaSmithy, who doesn't suck, can recover from a bad first outing as a GM in the league scene, even if it doesn't go well. I mean, you know how many people have been around just in the league scene over the years who probably should not have stuck around as long as they were able to, right?
Right.
Yeah, and he always can fall back on casting, like Nawdog is saying in chat.
Yeah, but don't you feel like if the team falls apart and then he goes back to casting, I'm sure there'd be some people, but I do feel like there would be a credibility. It's one thing to talk about. Okay, you and I both know there are. And I am, by the way, an idiot when it comes to League of Legends analysis, right? But even I know that there are some people that this community thinks is incredible, like these genius minds. But you talk to other casters or you talk to the players and they're like, this person has no idea. They're just good at talking. And so everyone believes them, right? I'm not saying, by the way, at all that that's PapaSmithy. But I am saying that it is an interesting, you have the trust of the community and the credibility from stuff that you've talked about, and there's a chance of you risk, you're betting your reputation essentially. If it's now I'm going to take everything I've talked about and you have to apply it,
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but your point kind of proves itself that there are these people in the scene who, people in the scene you're saying don't respect what the public doesn't know, so they're fine. That's exactly my point. That you're still fine, even if you go in there and you fuck up. Chances are the esports people don't do their due diligence that well, or they, someone's willing to take a risk again on someone, or he does an interview and he says what happened, and he spins it very well, and no one's going to correct him because no one's going to come out from 100 Thieves and drag his name. They didn't even do that to any of the players when they, like, with the Meteos and Cody Sun situations and stuff like that. So, like, even if this blows up in his face, I guarantee you he'll be okay.
I guess. I just feel like okay, I'm not saying he's out of the league scene. I'm just saying I think it's a bet. You have to, in order to take this job, you have to bet on the fact that, like, you didn't just talk about this stuff. You knew what you were talking about. And by the way, PapaSmithy, I like him a lot as a caster, and I've never heard anyone say he doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, there's other people that I've heard people say that about.
We're not talking about Papa.
Never heard that about Papa. But I do think there's a credibility risk for him, because there are things out of his control that could happen that people would blame him for, and then he could end up in I don't know. Mark, you seem to think people are more forgiving than I do in this community.
I think maybe forgiving is not the right word, but people seem to stick around even when they shouldn't.
That's true.
And so someone who should be sticking around, who deserves to be, or like has proven their worth already, and Papa probably isn't going to get burned on his first failure. I do agree, like you're saying, that there's some risk, but that's true. Like every time we open our mouths, like as public figures, we're constantly under scrutiny. So it's not like scrutiny is new to Papa.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. I think for PapaSmithy, this is like a relatively low risk bet, because all you have to do is better than they just did, which is not that much.
10th and 8th.
You don't think people will be holding him to a higher standard than that?
But hear me out. So let's say they even just skirt into playoffs, right? Because the top, if you exclude the top 2 teams from the league, and there's like this big discrepancy of the middle of the road teams, and then you've got like the bottom like 2 teams, right? So most of these middle of the road teams, like the other 4 spots in playoffs, are like actually pretty competitive, or at least in Summer Split they were this time. So if you can push through that, and you can hit even like 5th or 6th place and get into playoffs, right? His first split there, that's already like an improvement from where they were. And the reason this maintains like the viability of a low risk bet is, let's say with the roster they have, right, they make no changes. You can say we weren't able to get anybody else, or let's say they do make a change and they, God forbid, bring Saligo back up, or they go after like Golden Glue, or 100 Thieves Bjergsen, if this is like that happens or something. But let's say they're only able to go after somebody like Golden Glue, which would be perceived as an upgrade, but is still really not proven on like a top level, and you're still then able to have that fallback and say, well, this is the best move that we could make with the roster. And so there's kind of a limit on expectation to how far they can go, right? Like if 100 Thieves don't nab Bjergsen out of like pulling a rabbit out of a hat, or just by some miracle Po Belter's like, I'm done with FlyQuest. Like 100 Thieves really have a limited NA native talent pool to really go from, and so you have like a limit of expectation, or at least should be a limit of expectation from fans towards the roster. PapaSmithy gets to come over, and if he changes nothing and the team just naturally does better because they're going to start with the roster they have instead of where they started, right? Because they had if you exclude, I think it was like the first 2 or 3 weeks or something like that, they had a much better record once they brought Amazing into things. So even if they just kept this roster and got into playoffs, it looks good for PapaSmithy, and he could even go, you know what? General managing isn't for me, but now that I'm in NA, do you guys have any casting positions open? Like, there's all sorts of cool moves that he can do where he's just in, like LCS is his oyster now, and like I still don't know what 100 Thieves,
Yeah, I know. I'm with you, dude. Like Papa, like I don't know what's gonna happen on the analyst test next year. I never do. But I guarantee you, PapaSmithy is gonna make an appearance at some point. He's gonna be there. So like to your point, yeah, he has all these different opportunities available to him. Yeah. And so like I feel like the bar is low, like you're saying. I don't think it's that. he's going to have other people around too, and he's been around the scene. He's not going to be like completely like moronic, I think. And so he'll make a couple good moves probably, and the team had a bad year, and so no matter what, it should do better next year. And then, a lot of that will get credit to him fairly. And I think it's pretty easy to go up and up.
I think so. Maybe yes. We've talked about that on the PapaSmithy side. I do think I've heard some people say. I mean, you guys kind of said this, right? Like, is this the right move for 100 Thieves? I don't know, because I don't know what PapaSmithy's capabilities are enough. I do agree with the idea that, like, just because you can talk about the game and you can understand it doesn't necessarily mean that makes you a good manager. I don't know what his background is in terms of like a business perspective or a management perspective. I will say though, I do think it is actually very hard to find somebody who can fit. Like, I don't know if there's a better option. Like,
yep.
If I'm unsure about PapaSmithy, which again I think there's a chance he does really well here, but if I'm like, well, he understands the game, but does he understand the management side? It's sort of like, okay, that is a thing that you could say, but who does understand both, right? Like, where is this like mysterious person who's both run a division of a company but also understands League on a huge level? I mean, the person is Reginald, who runs TSM. You're not going to get him to be your TSM or your GM,
and
so.
Reggie learned business. He came from League and learned business. It seems like what we have seen from esports thus far, it's much easier to take a competent person in esports and train them in the things that they need to learn than take someone outside esports and teach them esports and hope it works out. It feels like,
and maybe you're 100 Thieves and you're like, well, we've got like John Robinson, like they have a strong
support staff.
I've talked about. I think they've got a really smart side up on the management side, and so I think they think, okay, well, we can help him become a good manager if he's lacking in that area or something. So. By the way, I also want to give a shout out. I knew as soon as I started talking about Jacob Toft Anderson that it would end up on the 100T subreddit, and now there's immediately somebody clipped it and said Jacob getting flamed on Hotline League right now. And then there's the person in the comments who said, I'm the person who said he shits on 100T all the time. Funny how this keeps happening. Again, I like 100T as a brand. I like John Robinson a lot. I like Nate Shot. I think Prolly's great. I actually give Prolly more credit than like the rest of the community. I say good things about this org. People pretend that I don't. I just have some criticisms.
Travis, you realize this person has a hate boner for you, right?
Yeah, and I think the 100T subreddit has a hate boner for us. It just drives me crazy because
only for you. They love me there.
Yeah,
they love me.
Really?
It's just. Oh, I don't know. I'm just telling myself that. But like they're gonna sit and wait until we say anything about 100 Thieves, and if it's good stuff, like we've been saying for the last 3 months, as they made these roster swaps and made a late season playoff push, they're not gonna say anything then.
Yeah.
But as soon as you mentioned that some guy was casting a tournament, the same team one of his teams got relegated before he was even a part of 100 Thieves, then yeah, they're gonna clip it. So I don't know. What do you want to do? If someone's going to go to that lengths of mental dissonance to hop through the hoops to make their point, then go for it.
Well, by the way, shout out to 100 Thieves for not joining Call of Duty League. I think that's a very smart thing that they did. Just want to say another smart thing about them.
Yeah, I watched that Nate Shot video, actually. I'm in the same boat.
I did too. Yeah. I thought it was really impressive how he danced around saying Call of Duty League will be a giant failure, and there's no way we're going to spend all the fucking millions of dollars they want us to get into this thing.
Oh, you just got to get in the Ponzi scheme early, then it's going to work.
Okay, I was in a bad mood about the 100 Thieves subreddit,
exploding.
But yeah, I was in a bad mood about the 100 Thieves subreddit thing, but now Kyle0808 spent a bunch of money to buy 50 subs for my community, so thank you,
Kyle0808. I'm kind of hungry, so I'm not having a good time either. What about me?
What? I will buy you a meal with the money from these 50 subs that he just gifted.
I want it from Kyle.
He's gifted 550 in my channel. Jesus.
Wait, just now?
Yeah. No. Total, he's gifted 550.
Oh, okay.
This was 50. Last year, he gifted like 300 or something during Worlds. Might have been even more. Might have been 400. I forget. Life is good whenever I've got amazing people in it, like Kyle0808. All right, whatever. I think we've talked about this topic for a lot. So, Space Pope 20K, any final thoughts as we move on to the next caller?
Yeah, shout out to Medic in the chat. He was saying he is maybe perhaps a little jelly of PapaSmithy being over here, and kudos to Avali. The section that SacDMB got me in was the section that like Avali was facing when she was doing her like stage side, like on camera interviews. So that was really cool. But yeah, you guys have a good night, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
have a good
again.
one. See ya. All right, moving on to the next caller. So again, huge shout out to Kyle0808. Thank you for doing that.
Brace yourself, Travis. It's a Europe topic.
Okay, hello.
Manuel, welcome back. Where are you from again?
Chile.
Chile, that's right. And we're going to talk about LEC?
LEC, indeed.
Okay, I'm just going to repeat the things that Medic says in chat about it, because I know he's there, and I can just pretend to know what I'm talking about whenever he types out stuff. So that's how we're going to do this. But go ahead and talk about what you want to say about LEC.
Sure. So, Mike, what I believe is that G2's victory over Fnatic this weekend will probably hinder Europe's chances at Worlds, especially because G2 is way too cocky, and all the pro teams, and the old pro team only makes it worse. So that's like where I want to start.
So you think G2 getting all pro team, and beating Fnatic is going to make them? They're just going to think they can win Worlds easy, or they'll be cocky going into it.
Yeah. So first, just something else. So, first off, I want to say like who I think is going to go to Worlds from Europe. And obviously it's G2 and Fnatic. They're just head and shoulders above the rest of the LC.
Sure.
And then we have Splice and Schalke, which are decently close, but I think they're not a close third. And then we have Rogue, which I'm pretty sure they're going to the Gauntlet, but they're all rookies. Which is probably not. I mean, they're lacking experience. And Leslie's Origin, and they just straight up fell from grace. It's just a big no for me. So that's what I want to start.
So here's the thing: G2 are confident, and I agree it could cost them, but honestly, that's why they win. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose the best of 5 because they're overconfident, but I don't know. I think honestly, the confidence is part of the reason that they win. You can't say that confidence will hinder them, because if they weren't confident in themselves, they couldn't play the same style.
Okay, so what I mean by hindering them is, I'm talking about Fnatic and G2. So, what G2 have said before is they're always getting comfortable as their worst enemy. Whenever they're winning too much, they just play bad. And I think the fact that they're able to just play like trash 2 games, almost lose about best of 5, and then just basically just win because they're good, really plays into this feeling of them just being the best players in the world, and them believing it.
Mark?
Well, I mean, wouldn't this be the best time to get a bit of a wake-up call and be forced to 5 games? Right? Right? Like, this is when it would work well. I also agree with Travis's point that, like, that's kind of who they are. They're gonna style on you if they can. And maybe that bites them in the butt, but they're also the West's best hope. And so, yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Should they not? I was gonna say trolling. It's not trolling. It's just like disrespecting.
Wait. I think mainly what I mean by this is, if they had lost, I think it would have been better. Not only because it would have made G2 just realize that they can't just do that, but also I think it would have probably really helped Fnatic get a confidence boost, and they're really needing it.
I don't know. You said like, oh, they can't just do that, but they clearly can, because they did. They're that good. Then they fucking ended Game 5 in 17 minutes or some shit. Like, they're fucking dominant. If anything, it reinforced the fact that they have 5 games to play with their food. You know, like, I don't know
Yeah.
if Europe is. I don't know if Europe's sitting there ready to hand them the comeuppance that they need to come back down to earth. You know, I don't know if there's a team in Europe that can slap them around and do that. And if the point is like only they can do that, well, like when they get to Worlds, someone's going to do that in scrims, right? Like there's going to be some other great teams there. And if they can continue acting this way at Worlds when they're scrimming, then that means they're fucking awesome, and they should keep acting that way. And if they get slapped back down to earth a little bit, then you know they're not in the play-ins. They have some time to learn.
Yeah, and going back to what you were saying about the Fnatic confidence boosts, like the nice thing is, even if Fnatic lose, they get to play in the Gauntlet finals anyway, and so I think that that's where they'll get their confidence boost, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
That was Medic's point. Don't listen to Travis.
Oh, did they actually say that?
Yeah, Medic word for word.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how losing finals will be a confidence boost for Fnatic. Although they probably will lose it.
No, but winning in the Gauntlet will. Is my point.
Wait, so if they get second, I think they don't go to Gauntlet though. They just go straight to Worlds. So just going to Worlds by just getting second, I don't think that's very good for them in terms of their confidence boost. Especially because, I mean, it seems to me like Fnatic are either really pick reliant or playing really confidently. And if they're getting their picks like TF, Corki, or their Karma Pack bot lanes, then they really need to have that confidence that will let them win.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's mostly what I'm thinking. I'm not saying G2 and Fnatic are going to play bad in Worlds, but I think had G2 lost, it probably would have been better for them. As well as Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean the whole confidence point though, from the Fnatic angle, just feels like you shouldn't need the confidence boost. I guess it's like if you're that mentally fragile of a team that like losing a best of 5 month or two since Worlds, like prior to Worlds, is enough to keep you from playing well at Worlds, and you probably have to have a stronger mental fortitude in general, because Worlds is going to have some ups and downs. You're going to lose some games that you should have won. You know, some crazy shit's going to happen. Like when they were, what were they, 0-4, and they rallied back to make it out of Group B 2 years ago. You know, like you have to have mental fortitude for that, and you can't be relying on confidence from a best of 5 2 months ago to have that fortitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess that's mostly what I had to say.
Yeah, I'm out of thoughts on this topic as well. So I think
we can.
Medic, do you have anything else Travis should read?
Medic has anything to add here?
No, I think I'm good. Is there anything you would like to say as we move on to the next caller?
No, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for calling in. Looking forward to seeing if you are correct or not. It's not bad news for me if LEC is feeling cocky going into Worlds undeservedly or something, So, hey, thanks so much for the call.
Yeah.
And also thanks to our sponsor, Alienware. Speaking of sponsors, by the way, I do want to do a quick shout out here to our second sponsor of the evening, Movement. So Mark has sent me a request for some stuff off of the Movement site. These are, by the way, their computer glasses. You can go check them out. Check out Movement, our sponsor, at mvmt.com/Travis. Please go over there now. That would be great. Just do everything. Stop everything that you're doing. Oh, hang on. Twitch link isn't linking it for some reason. And go to mvmt.com/Travis. Actually helps me out a ton as you check out their stuff. But they actually have eyewear, which are the Everscroll glasses. These are a pair of their Everscroll glasses. If you're at the computer for long periods of time, you can throw those on. But what they are most known for, and by the way, they're coming out with jewelry and some other cool stuff as well. But big thing, they're watches. So actually last week on the show, Steve Aronset from TL, he bought this watch. Interestingly enough, the same watch that I have. And this has got to be really popular, by the way, because Mark also he browsed the website and he liked this one as well. So he's got
I have FOMO
coming soon.
Yeah,
it's their Astro Blue watch on their website. But yeah, they're based out of Los Angeles. They make sunglasses. I wear their sunglasses. You might see them. I've been doing a lot of hiking lately. I wear them out and about for that, or when I'm at the beach. That would have been a meme a while ago, but actually I do that now this summer, and I'm glad I have their sunglasses with me. And they've got these watches. They've got all sorts of cool stuff over there. They're based out of LA. And by the way, if you go to mvmt.com/Travis, it will automatically apply a 15% discount to anything that you purchase on their website. So, in fact, right now they've even got a limited edition collaboration going on their website with Jeff Cole. You can see that over there. It might be. I've heard they only made 300 of those watches, so I don't know if you're watching the show later on in the week if it'll still be there. But they make some cool stuff. I really appreciate. It's fun to be able to partner with a company that is doing such cool stuff and also based out of LA. And I'm really happy that they decided to come into the show. Mark will have some stuff soon too, and I might even get something for Brodin. We'll find out. So,
whoa! Brodin is not a part of this show. I don't think he deserves anything.
Well, they sponsor not just this show, some of my other stuff too. But I appreciate your desire to deprive our friend of free stuff. Anyway, thanks so much. Owen Milliman right now in the chat says I bought the glasses off the MVMT, the movement website. So thank you so much to Milliman. Hopefully some other folks can check out some of their stuff as well. Thank you to Movement for sponsoring the show. Moving on to our last caller for the night. Again, a little bit of a shorter show tonight because we are a little low on topics as we're getting into Gauntlet this weekend. Papega Boy.
I just gave up pulling them. We're still really popular.
Papega Boy is here. Papega Boy, where are you calling from?
From Maryland.
Maryland. Whereabouts in Maryland?
I guess Bethesda would be.
Oh, is that where they make those video games?
No, it's a city.
I know.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So my take is, or my topic is, like this will be the worst year for all Western teams. Like,
whoa!
I think it's C9 TL and then 30 and then G2 Fnatic and then 30 undecided.
Yeah.
So, and I think the best outcome will probably be one of the teams from the West making it out of groups, and it won't be because like they're good. It's just gonna be between like group strength, I guess, and they're probably gonna get like.
You think one of the Western teams will have an easy group, and that's how they'll get through. And
yeah, basically.
And
C9.
That's our best case scenario: is one Western team makes it out.
Yeah.
Do you think? And I'm sure you'll get into this. Do you think it's a NA or Western teams suck, or the East is coming back with a vengeance?
I think like Western teams are like kind of they kind of suck. I don't think they're good. Like last year and like Fnatic last year, this year TL and G2. I don't think they were that good. Like I guess like one of the points, since I'm gonna be talking mostly about like TL and G2, is because like they won, right? They won the whole thing, so they're the best. So like G2 during MSI, they got beat by so I guess first of all, MSI apparently like the thing that they were talking about were that there are two styles, right? Very aggressive teams, which were like G2, IG, and like Buffalo, versus the very like more team fighting teams like TL, SKT, and forget the other one, Flash Wolves. So those teams, like when all the aggressive teams of Buffalo and IG went against G2, I'm pretty sure they 4-0'd them, right? Like Buffalo won twice and IG beat them twice. And they were like pretty rough. And in TL, they lost, I'm pretty sure they lost to SKT, and I think they beat Flash Wolves, but then like TL lost to G2, which was like a pretty hard stomp. And I think like TL beating IG wasn't really like TL being good. It was more TL being or IG kind of like not performing well at all. Like it seemed like they kind of like for some reason just like I don't know if it was mental boom or something, like they just didn't perform the way they would perform. And then SKT beating G2 or G2 beating SKT, that was also kind of a kind of like SKT kind of trolling that series, I think. Like, and it's kind of like not a very I I feel like the results of MSI, like people are
you don't think the results of MSI are representative of the strength of the teams that were there?
Yeah, like I don't think like G2 and TL being in the finals, I don't think they were actually the
Right. It doesn't prove anything.
Right, what about Worlds last year then, where 3 of the top 4 teams were Western teams?
Oh, I think for I think like the best team, the best teams were kind of what do you call? It was KT and IG, right?
Well, sure, but RNG and
No, yeah.
Africa.
So, like let's say SKT and IG were like in two different like in the two different sides of the thing, right? I think if they're in the two different sides, I think they make it to the finals, and then the top 4 teams then would end up being maybe like Fnatic and then 3 other.
But the problem that I'm having with this is like, okay, so maybe the brackets just worked out in favor of the West at Worlds last year, and maybe there was some fluking at MSI, right, which just somehow led to these 2 Western teams ending up at the finals. It's just really hard for me to go from like, if your topic was, hey, I think an Eastern team will win, it'll be East versus East in the finals again this year, and like the last 2 international events are overblown. That's one thing, and I can kind of imagine a world where like, you know, we're looking at 2 events out of multiple years, maybe, and we're feeling really cocky. Maybe that's the case. But you're like, our best bet in the West is 1 team makes it out of group. That is like such a strong stance to take after what seems like a world where like the gap has closed a little bit, right?
Yeah, but I feel like last year at Worlds and then this year at MSI, and then people were saying, oh, the gap has closed and everything like that. But I think like MSI is not a very good tell of like what ends up happening at Worlds. Like I'm pretty sure like every MSI, like let's say when CLG got to the finals or when G2 got to the finals before, and like they ended up, I'm pretty sure both times when Worlds came around, like they ended up.
Okay, but you're not
getting out of groups.
You're not telling me anything that makes me feel as though NA is like the worst it's ever been, which was your prediction, right? That like we would have the worst performance we've had in a very long time.
Yeah, it's just I feel like well, they're not. I think like NA, like they're better, but they're not like they're not as good as some of the Chinese teams or like.
Well, sure, but the point you made was with 1 team getting out of 6. I mean, that's never happened before, right? I don't think we've ever.
No, I'm hearing nothing that says that the West is the worst it's ever been. You're just saying, yeah, I think NA might not as good as we think. The Chinese teams.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, that's what I think. Like NA and EU, they're not as good as they think, and I think like Worlds. Like,
so, do you think more than 1 team will get out of groups?
Like I said 1 team, but probably like maybe like 2 teams, probably because like stuff happens. But I think, yeah, like I think like NA and EU are gonna get like kind of destroyed by even like the Buffalo. Where are they from? Vietnam, right? So I think like I think since it's best of 1s and stuff, like I feel like the Korean teams and like Chinese teams are just gonna be a lot better.
Look, I can see a world where your stance originally was really intense. I'm happy you've given us 1 more team getting out of groups. That feels good. But I could see a world, like, I think it's a fair topic or fair argument to make that, like, hey, maybe the West is getting a little ahead of ourselves. We've had 2 good international events, but fucking look at these crazy teams that are coming out of China and Korea. SKT maybe in way better form than they've been in before. Like, I can see that being a potential thing. I don't know. It feels like G2 is maybe the best Western team that we've ever thrown out there. But maybe they're going to be overconfident and cocky, and they're going to be in a bad place based off of our last call.
Yeah, definitely. But also, like, I feel like seeing them get beat by like Buffalo and IG pretty badly was kind of like.
Well, getting beat by IG doesn't mean anything if your point is that they're one of the best teams or regions in the world, then it's kind of expected that they would struggle. Losing to Buffalo, like, I understand, but the whole thing you need to realize about G2's identity is that they can beat anyone, and they often beat most people, and they can also lose to anyone because they play really volatile. And as well as the fact that like plenty of teams have lost to wildcard teams before, or emerging region teams. Like it's not this death sentence that it was at one point in time where it was like a joke to lose to them. I don't think that's the case anymore. So yeah. I'm struggling with that take. I just even if every single Korean and Chinese team gets out, that's 6 out of the 8 spots taken from getting out of groups. There's 2 more left up for grabs. You know,
think, like, Vietnam,
why would an emerging region grab one over us? You know, predicting when we have done better than them every step of the way. Like, why would we suddenly not be expected to get 2? You know, like now we're up to 2, I guess. So like. The idea that one Chinese team or one Korean team falls flat is like pretty likely. Yeah, I feel like it happens every year that there's like the Dade Award. You know, there's a reason that award exists. So I don't know. I'm pretty confident that 2 teams are getting out. I would hope 3, even 4 if we're lucky. I mean, you know, we have 6 teams in there too.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like everybody's like kind of hyping like, oh, G2, EU. Maybe Team Liquid, and then like the West, and I feel like I don't know, something is gonna happen. They're gonna get a wake up call, and then boom, they're gonna like get clapped by the Eastern teams. And I feel like the Eastern teams also kind of want revenge a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. I'll buy the take that the West is overhyping themselves. I think that's a reasonable take. I'm not sure if I believe it, but I think that's a reasonable thing to say. And honestly, I bet you will hear more takes like that as we get closer to Worlds, because I mean it kind of makes sense, right? For the West to sort it out itself. So
because I feel like everybody's like, oh, EU's gonna do well and stuff. So I don't know, like a different take. And
no, I appreciate it. Hey, Pepega boy, is there anything you want to say as we wrap up the show?
I guess shout outs to Alienware, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Have a good one. All right. That about wraps up the show. Mark, do you have any shout-outs? Anything you want to say here?
No.
Okay. You got nothing?
I was struggling to think of something, dude. I'm a boring man now. I don't do anything. Where are my cool side projects, dude? What happened to me?
I don't know.
I always used to have cool side projects.
Brodin and I have started working more on the secret thing that we were talking about in Palm Springs.
Is it how far in pre-production is it? You guys scripting? I want to write.
We're probably scripting later this week.
I want to script stuff.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll, if you're free this week this week, Brodin and I were planning on meeting up, so maybe we'll pull you for that too.
Yeah, cut me in on that shit, bro.
Okay, cool. For me, I'm going to have some LPL content coming out over the next couple of weeks, including an RNG tour that should be hitting tomorrow. Also, I have... go check out Intel Gamer Day stuff at Alienware. Check out movement.com/Travis, mvmt.com/Travis. Kyle0808 gifting another 25 subs. You know what? I'm just going to throw this out there. It's September. This man is paying full price to give you guys subs. Be like him. Actually, don't be like him. Spend half of what you normally would to sub to the channel. That stuff is super helpful, and I really appreciate it. And it makes side projects like the one that Mark and I want to work on possible. But again, thank you so much, Kyle0808. Gifted 75 subs over the course of this stream.
Is a hero.
Also thanks to Soybeans, Avura, The Way to Dawn, X-Brews, Neon Puddles for 1 year in a row, and X-Brews for 1 year in a go. I Hate Snarf for 1 year, Namad, St. Louis Slayer, Toxfire, Exogen Chan, Bubba90, Bama Tide 88, Libyan Kid, Zephyr Glucimin, Doy Boys, almost done, Captain Taco 5, and Kylo Zen for their subs, and Why So Serious 520 for his or her sub as well. This has been Hotline League. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll do another one next week. Hopefully we'll have a guest because things will have opened up a little bit more since Gauntlet will be done. Love you all. Thanks so much.